think we have all of the attendees we were expecting, so we'll get. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to participate in today's virtual workshop. I think we have all of the attendees we were expecting, so we'll get started. My name is Sandy Misowitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Capital Region Transportation Council. Joining me today is Jen Sapanis, who is helping me with the presentation and the technology. The purpose of this workshop is just to walk through our solicitation for transportation planning projects for the upcoming fiscal year that begins April 1st, 2024. We'll run through this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat at the end. You can remain mute your mic during the presentation. If you have any questions, like I said, we'll take questions at the end of the webinar today. So briefly, as I noted, we'll be reviewing what our Unified Planning Work Program is, which includes all of the planning studies that are related to this solicitation. We'll go through the program guidance, the application process, the evaluation criteria, the schedule, and again, we'll take any questions that you may have. So just as a reminder about who we are, we're the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the 4 counties of Albany, Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady. I'm being told my screen isn't being shared. Okay, sorry about that. Let me stop share and start again.
You just have to swap the display and then you're all set.
Are you seeing it now?
Yep.
Okay,
All set.
sorry about that. So the Metropolitan Planning Organization is a transportation policymaking and planning organization. We're federally funded. Our members include the communities within the counties of Albany, Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady, except for the town of Moreau and the village of South Glens Falls. We also have member agencies that include the state DOT, CDTA, the Regional Planning Commission, Airport Thruway, and the Port of Albany. All of these entities work to allocate the federal transportation funds that are assigned to the regions for both plans and projects. Our key functions: we develop a long-range metropolitan transportation plan, also referred to as a regional transportation plan. We're starting the update process this year, which will be completed in September of 2025. Our current plan is known as New Visions 2050. Our transportation improvement program is the capital program of project that's updated every 3 years. We'll be also starting an update of that sometime in 2024 to be completed in June of 2025. And then what we're talking about today is the Unified Planning Work Program, which is our schedule of transportation planning activities undertaken by our staff here at the Transportation Council, as well as by consultants. Our current UPWP runs through the end of March. It's an annual document that is developed to showcase all of those plans and the federal funds assigned to those planning activities. So again, the UPWP has the schedules, who's doing the work, what's the cost, the fund sources, what are the projects we're undertaking. For this solicitation and call for projects, we have assigned or set aside roughly $300,000 in federal planning funds. This was a little bit lower than last year, and the reason is we had a lot of carryover from the larger solicitation we did last year. And because we are taking on some larger grant initiatives this year, our staff resources are quite thin. So we're only able to carry forward about $300,000 of outside planning work this year. All of the materials related to this solicitation are found on our website at capitalnpo.org/2024 UPWP. And this work can be undertaken beginning April 1st of 2024. In terms of applicants, any of the municipalities in our region, our planning area can apply, as well as our member organizations. We have been asked in the past about co-applicants. A co-applicant can be a not-for-profit group. It can be neighborhood groups. It can be other organizations in your community or in the area that you're interested in studying, so long as there's a municipal lead applicant. You can also partner with neighbors, and we encourage that. Intermunicipal cooperation is always encouraged. In terms of the types of initiatives we are making these funds available for, we've kind of categorized them in 3 broad categories. The first is Complete Streets workshops. These are educational and technical assistance workshops that are really targeted to municipalities, and in some cases, the staff of municipalities specifically. There are 3 basic types of workshops that are included in this opportunity. One is to review Complete Streets basics. So this would be a workshop type for a community that doesn't have any Complete Streets policy or practice, but is interested in learning more. So it's kind of the introductory approach. We also have Complete Streets policy implementation type workshops. And this is for communities that have a policy, but maybe want to reassess the policy or are trying to overcome some barriers to implementation. And then the third type of policy workshop is the county or region-wide training. We actually have a training scheduled in partnership with Albany County this fall. So we are encouraging applicants for this, all of these workshop types from Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady County first, because of that countywide Albany County workshop that we've already committed to. But if you are in Albany County and you want a standalone municipal workshop, you're not excluded from applying. We just want to make sure we spread this opportunity as best we can throughout the region. The nice part about this program is that there's no cash match required. The only assistance we ask for is in-kind assistance with things like the meeting logistics, securing the meeting space, ensuring the right people are in the room, particularly for municipal staff-focused workshops, which is really the key to success in developing and having conversations with your counterparts in your communities about Complete Streets policies and their implementation. So there is a separate application form for the Complete Streets workshops, what I'll get into later. But that's the first category of workshops. We have hired a consultant, which is the contract is in development right now to perform the work for these workshops over this next year. So the local governments don't need to worry about who would be facilitating the workshops. We have facilitators that we are hiring. The next category is our technical assistance planning work. This is where we work with communities using our staff resources to provide planning support for a wide range of initiatives that can include data collection. It can include neighborhood planning, trail planning, developing GIS maps. There's a whole assortment of things we can do with our time internally that we don't need to hire a consultant for. They really are projects that are intended to be have short turnarounds, are very specific, maybe have limited public outreach. We have a complete list of the range of activities on the technical assistance webpage, which is also linked in your in the solicitation guidance for this program. The cost estimates we develop with you. Roughly, we will fund up to about $25,000 worth of work through this program. And the match requirement is, again, only an in-kind requirement of not less than 10% of the total project cost. So we're really looking for staff assistance or volunteers to help implement any technical assistance project. And that may include things like meeting time, reviewing products, providing existing conditions, information, planning documents from your community, those sorts of activities. So that is the second category of eligible projects. And then the third and final is our broader community planning, community linkage program planning activities. These are strategic plans that we have funded in communities to undertake a wide range of planning initiatives that link land use with transportation planning in some manner. They generally involve the use of a consultant, usually have a pretty robust public engagement process. We have funded well over 90 plus of these projects over the years, and you can see a catalog of them all on our linkage program webpage. The match requirement for this program is either cash or in-kind. Cash is encouraged, but not required. Not less than 10% of the project actual project cost. So, you know, again, cash is not required, but it certainly is encouraged. As I said, there are two different forms. So for the Complete Streets workshop, we have a standalone form. It's a little simpler and it asks different questions because of the nature of the Complete Streets workshops. But you know, it obviously asks for the basics like applicant information. What are you trying to do? Whereas the other two categories, the technical assistance and the community planning study projects, will use a different form where we're going to ask for more detail on the project budget and a description of what you're trying to do in your proposal. So both of those, again, are linked on our website. They're linked in the project solicitation guidance material. We try to make sure that there's notes there so that you know you're using the right form, but I think if you're looking for the Complete Streets form and you're not seeing those words on the application form, you're using the wrong form and vice versa. The evaluation criteria really remain unchanged from last year. So we look to support projects that advance our long-range plan principles, as well as the federal planning factors, which are all listed on our website. We are also assessing project proposals that are in our designated environmental justice areas. There's an interactive map that we have linked in your guidance document. It's also available on our website for you to view the map that is in a static form on the screen. If you're not certain if your study area is in one of these areas, you can look at that in more detail online. We consider intermunicipal or other partnerships in the scoring process, how much commitment that the sponsor has demonstrated. Are there community resolutions? Is there a higher local match? Are there other implementation funds being included in this? Those are all considerations for that criteria. We also look to see, and we forgot to change the acronym, but we also look to see if the sponsor has completed a plan before, you know, meaning is this proposal going to actually take an existing plan and implement it? Is it a feasibility study of an idea that was an existing plan? That's considered for the evaluation. What is the staff support through the volunteers or through appointed officials? So who would be providing that in-kind support if you are proposing to use in-kind as your match requirement? And then is there something unique, innovative, or creative related to the proposal that maybe we haven't seen in the region before that might be worth some additional encouragement in the evaluation process? So that's our evaluation process, and the project's proposals are evaluated by staff in-house. So moving on to the key dates, obviously we've released the call for projects. Today is our virtual workshop. Applications are due in our office on December 1st. We're going to spend the month of December evaluating and prioritizing the proposals. We may have follow-up questions for sponsors that are asked during that time period. By the January 3rd, 2024 Planning Committee meeting that we have here at the council, we will share our preliminary recommendations for their approval. And then those would be incorporated into the broader UPWP or the Unified Planning Work Program at the February 7th meeting, at which point we're going to open a public review period for our overall work plan for next year, which will ultimately be adopted by our policy board on March 7th. So it's a lengthy process, but the funds will be available for use, not us, use after April 1st of 2024. So that is really all we had in terms of the presentation today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We can also respond to any emails. I'll stop sharing my screen for now to see if there are any specific questions or comments that everybody might have. I don't see any in the chat at this time. And we can also open up to live questions if you would like me to allow you to talk. And just raise your hand if that's the case. Oh, chat is currently disabled.
Huh.
Sorry about that. We'll figure that out. In the meantime, if you wanted to use the Q&A area, we can try to answer your questions through the Q&A. That seems to be working. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming into the Q&A. Any luck on the chat?
No, but it looks like Susan has a question in the Q&A.
Okay, thank you. Is the $300,000 for all three programs? Yes, it is for all three programs. Unfortunately, the good news is that most of these funds are dedicated towards the linkage community planning study category. There is a cap of $150,000 on each request. The Complete Streets workshops are actually a little separate from that because there's no financial contribution from the communities. Hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions while I have you? Okay. Hearing none and not seeing anything else in addition. Oh, will you
Kim asked
decide?
if we would be copying this webinar.
Sure, we can make a copy of this available, absolutely. Okay. Hopefully this is pretty straightforward. Try to make this as simple as possible for our communities. We know you guys are getting overwhelmed with all kinds of application policies. Okay, Michael, with the technical assistance program support expanding GIS mapping software, what about for city zoning or engineering maps? That's an interesting question. I will follow up with you. We can't use these funds to purchase software, but we could use these funds to support providing assistance to help you with mapping, or providing some services to create maps for your community. Feel free to email me following the webinar today, and I can give you a more specific answer. Okay. All right. Well, with that, thank you very much again for participating today. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to email us. And all the other information is available on our website at www.capitalnpo.org/2024 UPWP. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk soon.